The cargo ship moved slowly through space, carrying nothing more important than food supplies and basic tools. Captain Dae-ho Kim sat in his chair on the bridge, watching the stars pass by. He had been doing this job for 15 years now, and it never got more exciting. Humans always got the boring jobs in the galaxy. They carried cargo, cleaned stations, and fixed broken equipment while other species got to explore new worlds and make important decisions. "Captain, we're getting close to the delivery point," said Navigator Hannah Park. She was young, maybe 25, and still believed that humans might get better treatment someday. Dae-ho had stopped believing that a long time ago. "Good. Let's drop off this food and get out of here," Dae-ho replied. He didn't like staying in alien space longer than needed. The other species in the galaxy looked at humans like they were pets or tools. Some were polite about it, but others made their feelings very clear. Engineer Bo-Ram Lee called from the engine room. "Captain, I'm seeing some strange readings. There are ships approaching fast." Dae-ho felt his stomach drop. "What kind of ships?" "Big ones. Really big. They look like Vorthak raiders." The Vorthak were one of the worst species to encounter. They looked like giant insects and treated other life forms like toys. Humans especially seemed to amuse them, though no one knew why. "Can we run?" Dae-ho asked. "Not fast enough," Bo-Ram answered. "They're already surrounding us." Communications officer Taejin Cho spoke up from his station. "Captain, they're sending a message. They want us to surrender immediately or they'll blow us apart." Dae-ho closed his eyes. He had heard stories about what happened to humans who got captured by Vorthak raiders. Most people thought they were just stories, scary tales told to keep cargo crews careful. But some deep part of him worried the stories might be true. "Send back our surrender signal," he said quietly. "Tell the crew to cooperate fully." The Vorthak boarding ship attached to their hull with a loud crash. When the aliens came aboard, they were even more terrifying up close. Each one stood 8 feet tall with forearms ending in sharp claws and compound eyes that seemed to look right through you. They moved too fast and made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. The lead Vorthak pointed at Dae-ho and his crew. "These ones look healthy. Good specimens for the games." "What games?" Dae-ho asked, though he was afraid he already knew. The alien made that clicking sound again. "You'll see soon enough, little human. The whole galaxy will watch you die, and they'll pay good money for the privilege." The humans were loaded into a prison transport ship. The cells were small and dirty, filled with the smell of fear and death. There were already other humans inside, maybe 30 people from different ships. They all had the same look in their eyes, the look of people who knew they were going to die. An older man approached Dae-ho. He was tall and strong, with gray hair and scars on his arms. "I'm Jin Woo-song. Used to be a colonel in Earth Defense Force before I got captured 6 months ago." "6 months?" Dae-ho was shocked. "How are you still alive?" "They keep some of us around to make the games more interesting. Experienced fighters last longer, which means better entertainment." Jin Woo's voice was bitter. "The galaxy loves watching. Humans die slowly." A woman nearby spoke up. She was small and had kind eyes, but her hand shook constantly. "I'm Soo-Jin Yang. I was a medic before they took me. I've seen what they do to us in those arenas. It's not just killing, it's torture, designed to make us suffer as long as possible while aliens place bets on how we'll die." The transport ship traveled for 3 days. During that time, Jin Woo explained how the harvest games worked. Humans were thrown into arenas with deadly alien creatures while billions of viewers across the galaxy watched and cheered. The audience could vote on what weapons or obstacles would be added to make things more exciting. Sometimes they would heal humans partway through just to make the suffering last longer. "Why don't they use other species?" Hannah asked. "Because we're the only ones who fight back the way they want," Jin Woo explained. "Most species either give up immediately or fight with pure instinct. Humans fight smart even when we know we're going to lose. We adapt and try new strategies right up until the end. That's what they find entertaining." When they reached Kythera Prime, the arena moon was even worse than Dae-ho had imagined. The entire moon had been converted into a massive entertainment complex. Giant screens showed highlights from previous games, and the sound of alien crowds cheering echoed through the corridors. The holding cells were filled with humans from across the galaxy, all waiting for their turn to die for alien amusement. That first night, they made Deho and the others watch the evening's main event. A human woman was thrown into an arena with a creature that looked like a cross between a tiger and a snake. The beast had poisonous fangs and could move faster than anything that size should be able to move. The woman fought bravely. She used her intelligence and human adaptability to avoid the creature for almost 10 minutes, longer than most. The alien crowd loved it. They cheered every time she narrowly escaped death, and they cheered even louder when the beast finally caught her. But what made Deho sick wasn't just her death. It was how the arena's systems replayed her final moments in slow motion, zooming in on her face as the poison took effect. Alien commentators discussed her fighting style like she was a sports player, rating her performance and comparing her to previous human victims. The next morning, Hana was selected for the games. As the guards came to take her away, she looked back at Deho with tears in her eyes. "Tell Earth what really happened to us," she whispered. Deho watched from the viewing area as his navigator faced a six-legged monster that spit acid. Hana was smart and quick, but the creature was designed to be impossible to defeat. She lasted 12 minutes, longer than most, using pieces of the arena itself as shields and weapons. When the acid finally hit her, the crowd erupted in the loudest cheers Deho had ever heard. The alien announcer declared it a magnificent display of human determination, while the highlight reel played her death over and over again. That night, as Deho sat in his cell, something changed inside him. The same thing was changing in humans across the galaxy, though none of them understood what it was yet. In the deep spaces between stars, ancient things began to stir, responding to human suffering with something that might have been anger. Earth still didn't know what was happening to their people, but that was about to change. Colonel Jinwoo Song had been planning his escape for months, but not the kind of escape the other prisoners dreamed about. He knew there was no way off Cathara Prime alive. Instead, he had been working on something more important, getting word back to Earth about what was really happening to their people. The Vorthak weren't as smart as they thought they were. They assumed humans were too primitive to understand their technology, so they didn't bother hiding their communication systems. Jinwoo had been a signals intelligence officer before his capture, and he had been quietly learning how their networks worked. "Boram, I need you to create a distraction in the engine maintenance area," Jinwoo whispered to the engineer during their daily meal period. Something small, but enough to draw the guards away from the communication hub. Boram Lee nodded. She understood what Jinwoo was trying to do, even though he hadn't told her everything. She had seen too many friends die in the arena to ask questions about escape plans. The distraction worked perfectly. While the guards rushed to deal with a minor coolant leak, Jinwoo slipped into the communication center. He had stolen a small recording device from a dead guard weeks ago, and now he activated it to document everything he had witnessed. "This is Colonel Jinwoo Song, Earth Defense Force, serial number 7749 Alpha." He spoke quietly into the device. "I am recording this message from the Vorthak Arena moon designated Cathara Prime. Earth Command needs to know that our missing cargo ships haven't been lost to pirates or accidents. They've been captured for something called the Harvest Games." He described everything he had seen over the past 6 months. The arena where humans were forced to fight impossible creatures. The alien crowds that cheered for human deaths. The betting systems where species across the galaxy wagered on how long humans would survive. The slow-motion replays of human suffering that were broadcast to trillions of viewers. "The galaxy doesn't see us as people," Jinwoo continued. "We're entertainment to them. They study how we fight, how we adapt, how we die. They're learning everything about human psychology and physical capabilities. I believe this information is being gathered for a purpose beyond just entertainment." The hardest part was recording the names. Jinwoo had been keeping a list of every human who had died in the arena since his arrival. There were so many names. People with families back on Earth who thought their loved ones had simply disappeared during routine missions. When he finished recording, Jinwoo faced his biggest Challenge. He needed to get the message to someone who could actually reach Earth. The galaxy's communication networks were controlled by the Federation, and they would never allow a message like this to reach human space. That's when he remembered the Zilani, traitor he had met in the holding cells. The Zilani were a peaceful species that looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin. They were also considered lesser by the galaxy's elite, which meant they were often ignored and underestimated. "Khepri, I need your help," Jinwoo said to the Zilani prisoner during their next exercise period. The alien looked nervous. "What kind of help?" "I don't want trouble with the Vorthak." "Nothing that will get you in trouble. I just need you to carry a message when you get released." Jinwoo knew that non-human prisoners were sometimes freed if they provided good entertainment. "It's a message to my people on Earth." Khepri was quiet for a long moment. "The Zilani have heard rumors about what happens to humans here. We don't approve, but we're not strong enough to help. You can help by carrying one small message." 2 weeks later, Khepri was indeed released after putting on a good show fighting a relatively harmless creature. The Vorthak liked when other species showed fear and desperation. It made them feel powerful. As planned, Jinwoo's message went with the Zilani trader. The message traveled slowly through hidden networks of sympathetic aliens and human smugglers. It took 3 months to reach Earth, arriving finally at Admiral So-Young Kang's office through her intelligence chief, Captain Minho Jeon. Admiral Kang was reviewing routine reports when Captain Jeon burst into her office with a pale face. "Ma'am, you need to see this immediately." When the recording finished playing, Admiral Kang sat in silence for several minutes. Then she called President Ye-Jin Choi directly. "Ma'am, we have a problem. A big one." Within hours, Earth's government was in emergency session. President Choi sat at the head of a table surrounded by her cabinet, including Defense Minister Dong-Hyun Lim and Intelligence Director Jaemin Park. The recording played 3 times before anyone spoke. "How many people are we talking about?" President Choi asked quietly. Defense Minister Lim consulted his files. "Over the past 10 years, we've lost contact with 412 cargo ships. That's roughly 50,000 people, assuming average crew sizes." 50,000 people, tortured to death for alien entertainment, President Choi said. "And we didn't know because they've been intercepting our communications and giving us false explanations." Intelligence Director Park spoke up. "Ma'am, there's something else. We've been analyzing the communication patterns, and it looks like the Federation has been deliberately routing our ships through areas where Vorthak raiders operate. This isn't random piracy, it's organized harvesting." The room fell silent again. The implications were staggering. Not only had the galaxy been murdering humans for entertainment, but the Galactic Federation itself was helping to supply victims. "What do we know about these games?" President Choi asked. Admiral Kang had been researching frantically since receiving the message. "From what we can tell, they're broadcast live across the galaxy. Trillions of viewers, massive betting pools, corporate sponsorships. Human suffering has become one of the galaxy's most popular forms of entertainment." Defense Minister Lim leaned forward. "Ma'am, I recommend we contact the Federation immediately and demand the return of our people." "And what leverage do we have?" President Choi asked. "They've made it clear that humans are at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. They'll just deny everything and continue harvesting our people." That's when Admiral Kang mentioned something that changed everything. "Ma'am, there might be another option. I think it's time we contacted Professor Woo Jin Bei about Project Erebus." Everyone in the room went quiet. Project Erebus was classified above top secret. Most of the people in the room didn't even know it existed. "Are you sure that's necessary?" President Choi asked. "Ma'am, 50,000 of our people are dead and more are dying every day. The galaxy thinks we're weak and harmless. Maybe it's time they learned the truth about what humanity really is." Back on Kythera Prime, Dr. Kyung-Mi Han was trying to understand why she was still alive. She had been captured 3 weeks ago while conducting research on cosmic radiation patterns near the galactic rim. The Vorthak had killed most of her research team immediately, but they had kept her alive for some reason. She soon learned why. The arena masters wanted someone with scientific training to study the creatures they used in their games. They thought it would make the matches more interesting if they could explain exactly how each monster killed its human victims. What Dr. Han discovered while studying the creatures horrified her. These weren't natural predators. They were specifically designed and engineered to fight humans. Every claw, every fang, every poison gland was carefully crafted to create maximum suffering while keeping victims alive as long as possible. But there was something else. Something the Vorthak didn't realize she was noticing. Hidden in their research files were detailed studies of human psychology, human pain responses, and human combat adaptability. This wasn't just entertainment research. It was military intelligence gathering. The aliens were studying how humans reacted under extreme stress, how they adapted to impossible situations, and how they continued fighting even when facing certain death. They were building a comprehensive database of human capabilities and weaknesses. Dr. Han realized with growing horror that the Harvest games served two purposes. They entertained the galaxy's population while secretly gathering intelligence about humanity's most dangerous traits. Someone was planning something big, and they wanted to know everything about how humans would respond when their backs were against the wall. She tried to share her discoveries with Jin Wu and the other long-term prisoners, but communication was difficult under constant surveillance. All she could do was whisper fragments of information during exercise periods and hope that someone would understand the bigger picture. Meanwhile, Earth's government was having the most important meeting in human history. Professor Wu Jin Bei had arrived at the presidential bunker with a briefcase that required 4 different security clearances to open. Inside were files that most people on Earth didn't know existed. "What you're about to see," Professor Bei said, "is why humanity has been so careful about our relationship with the galaxy for the past 300 years. The files told a story that none of them had expected. When humans first achieved faster-than-light travel, they hadn't just discovered other species. They had encountered something else in the deep spaces between stars, entities so old and powerful that they existed before most galactic civilizations were even born. These entities had made humanity an offer, in exchange for keeping their existence secret from the galaxy. 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Yoonji Kim stood before a massive chamber that contained something the galaxy had never imagined could exist. The Void Shepherd stirred in its holding tank, responding to signals from dimensions that normal science couldn't detect. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Part living creature, part starship, part something else entirely. "How long since the last awakening?" Dr. Kim asked her assistant, Dr. Byung-Ho Lim. 247 years, ma'am. The last time was when the Andrathi Empire tried to establish a military base in the Sol system. The Shepherd convinced them to leave without violence. "This time will be different. This time we're not trying to avoid conflict, we're ending one." The Void Shepherd opened what might have been eyes, though they existed in too many dimensions for human vision to properly process. When it spoke, the words appeared directly in Dr. Kim's mind rather than through her ears. "The small ones suffer in the far places," the entity communicated. "The loud ones make celebration of pain. This is not acceptable." "Can you reach the others?" Dr. Kim asked. "All shepherds wake when one wakes. All partners call when one calls. The small, loud ones who make death joy will learn why we chose the fierce small ones instead." Dr. Kim had been working with void entities for 20 years, but she still found their way of communicating strange. They didn't think about species, names the way humans did. To them, humans were fierce small ones because of their size and their tendency to fight against impossible odds. The Vorthak were loud ones because of their aggressive nature and constant clicking communication. In the hybrid core training facility in Mongolia, Lieutenant Sang-Wook-oh was experiencing changes he had never felt before. The void entity, fragment bonded to his nervous system, was becoming more active, responding to some distant signal. He could feel his perception expanding beyond normal human limits. "Something's happening," he told Sergeant Eugene Nam during their morning training session. "I feel it too. It's like something very large and very old just woke up and remembered we exist," General Hyunsu Park called an emergency briefing for all hybrid corps members. When they assembled, he could see that every one of them was experiencing the same phenomenon. Their eyes had changed, showing depths that seemed to extend beyond normal space. When they moved, reality seemed to bend slightly around them. The entities are responding to what's happening in galactic space, General Park explained. Our people are suffering, and our partners are angry about it. The question is, are you ready to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of? Lieutenant O stepped forward. Sir, we've been ready for this our entire lives. Every day we've trained, every simulation we've run, has been preparing for the moment when we stop pretending to be normal humans. Good, because normal humans don't phase through solid matter, manipulate gravity, or call upon cosmic entities for assistance. You're about to become very abnormal, and the galaxy is going to learn why the Void chose us as partners. Back on Cathera Prime, strange things were beginning to happen. The human prisoners were changing in ways that confused their alien captors. Bo-Ram Lee had discovered she could sense the structural weaknesses in the arena's walls. Taejin Cho found that he could hear alien conversations from impossible distances. Even Dr. Kyung-Mi Han was experiencing enhanced pattern recognition that allowed her to decode alien languages almost instantly. The Vorthak guards noticed the changes, but couldn't understand what was causing them. Humans were supposed to be simple creatures with limited capabilities. These new abilities didn't match anything in their research databases. The specimens are becoming anomalous, the arena commander reported to his superiors. Some are displaying capabilities not documented in human baseline studies. Are they using hidden technology? Negative. The changes appear to be biological or possibly psychological in nature. We recommend immediate vivisection to determine the source. But before they could act on this recommendation, something unprecedented happened. During the evening's main event, a human prisoner named Dongmin Park was thrown into the arena with a creature designed to slowly dissolve its victims with acid. The alien crowd settled in for their usual entertainment. Dongmin had been a cargo ship mechanic before his capture. He had no military training and no special skills beyond fixing broken equipment, but as the acid creature approached him, something changed. The air around Dongmin seemed to shimmer, and for just a moment, the viewing audience could swear they saw something massive and dark standing behind him. The acid creature lunged forward, but its claws passed harmlessly through Dongmin as if he wasn't entirely there. The alien crowd fell silent in confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humans weren't supposed to be able to do impossible things. Dongmin reached out and touched the creature. Where his hand made contact, the beast simply ceased to exist. Not dead, not dissolved, just gone, as if it had never been there at all. The arena fell into shocked silence. Then panic began to spread through the alien audience as they realized they had just witnessed something that their science couldn't explain. On Earth, Admiral So Young Kang was coordinating humanity's response from the newly activated command center Omega. The facility had been built into an asteroid in the outer solar system, hidden from galactic observation for 3 centuries. Now it hummed with activity as Earth's real military assets came online. Admiral, the Void Shepherds report ready for deployment, reported Captain Jae-Sung Ryu, commander of the Hidden Fleet. How many ships do we have available? 17 Shepherds, of various sizes, plus 43 hybrid vessels that use both human technology and entity enhancements. The largest Shepherd is big enough to carry a crew of 2,000. Admiral Kang studied the tactical displays. Each Void Shepherd ship could move through space in ways that violated everything the galaxy thought they knew about physics. They could phase in and out of normal dimensions, appear in multiple locations simultaneously, and their weapons could affect targets across impossible distances. What about personnel? All hybrid core units report ready for deployment. We have 312 active hybrids plus another 800 support personnel who have undergone partial bonding procedures. And our partners? Captain Ryu hesitated. The entities are eager to begin operations. They've been patient with our restraint for 3 centuries, but they never approved of it. They're ready to demonstrate why they chose humanity over any other species. On Cathara Prime, the Vorthak administrators were in crisis mode. The human who had made their arena creature disappear was now sitting calmly in his cell, apparently unaware that he had done anything unusual. When they tried to scan him with their most advanced equipment, the readings made no sense. According to their instruments, he was simultaneously present in the cell and not present at all. Arena Master Zekthar called an emergency meeting with his research staff. Explain to me how a human made one of our creatures cease to exist. We don't have an explanation, admitted Chief Researcher Molkran. The energy readings during the incident don't match any known phenomenon. It's as if reality was temporarily rewritten in a localized area. Are you telling me that humans have been hiding advanced technology? No, sir. This wasn't technology. Our scans detect no artificial devices. Whatever happened appears to be a biological or possibly metaphysical phenomenon. Dr. Kyung-Mi Han listened to this conversation from her research station, pretending to work on creature modifications while actually gathering intelligence. She was beginning to understand that Earth had been keeping secrets from the galaxy, but these secrets were bigger than she had imagined. She managed to send a coded message to Jinwoo using a method they had developed over weeks of careful communication. The message was simple. Something is waking up. The humans are changing. Earth knows. Jinwoo received the message and felt a surge of hope for the first time in months. He didn't understand what was happening to the other prisoners, but he recognized the signs of a rescue operation beginning to unfold. On Earth, President Yejin Choi was making the hardest decision of her career. She stood in the Situation Room, with her entire cabinet, looking at displays that showed the true scope of humanity's hidden capabilities. Ma'am, once we deploy the shepherds, every species in the galaxy will know that we've been deceiving them for centuries, warned Foreign Minister Yoon Seo Park. They'll realize that we could have been a major galactic power all along. And they'll wonder what other capabilities we've been hiding, added Intelligence Director Jaemin Park. President Choi thought about the recordings they had received from Jinwoo. Humans dying in agony while alien crowds cheered. Children from cargo ship. Families thrown into arenas with creatures designed to cause maximum suffering. An entire galactic civilization that saw humanity as nothing more than entertainment. Let them wonder, she said firmly. For 300 years we've tried to fit in with galactic civilization. We've accepted second-class status because we hoped that patience and good behavior would eventually earn us respect. Instead, they've been harvesting our people for sport. The entities are asking for final confirmation. Professor Bay reported from his communication link with the Mariana facility. Commander Seok Jinyu felt the Void Shepherd ship respond to his thoughts as they approached Cathara Prime. The living vessel existed partially in normal space, and partially in dimensions that had no names in any galactic language. When he wanted to go faster, reality bent to accommodate him. When he needed to be invisible, light simply forgot that his ship existed. Commander, we're detecting the Arena Moon's defense systems, reported Navigator Hyojin Moon. They have orbital cannons, energy shields, and patrol fleets. Are they targeting us? No, sir. Their sensors can't detect us. According to their instruments, there's nothing here. Seok-jin smiled. The Vorthak had built their defenses to stop conventional ships using conventional physics. They had never imagined facing something that could choose which parts of reality it wanted to follow. Take us directly into the arena complex, phased through their shields. The Shepherd ship passed through the energy barriers like they were made of air. Alien technicians stared at their instruments in confusion as their most advanced sensors detected impossible readings. Something was moving through their defensive systems, but their computers insisted that nothing was there. Inside the arena, the evening's main event was beginning. A human woman named So-min Lee had been selected to face 3 creatures at once. The Vorthak's new experiment in escalating entertainment. The alien crowd was larger than usual, with representatives from 12 different species placing bets on how quickly the human would die. The creatures were released into the arena. Each one had been specifically designed to counter human advantages. One was fast enough to match human reflexes. One was smart enough to adapt to human tactics. One was strong enough to break through any defense a human might create. So Min looked around the arena, searching for anything she could use as a weapon. She had been a security officer on a transport ship before her capture, so she had some combat training. But 3 custom-designed killers at once was impossible odds. That's when the wall of the arena simply disappeared. Commander Seok Jin Yu stepped through the gap where solid matter had been moments before. He looked like a normal human, but the air around him rippled with energy that made the alien spectator's eyes hurt. When he moved, reality seemed to lag behind him, creating brief after-images that existed in too many dimensions. "So-Min, step back, please," he said calmly. The 3 arena creatures turned toward this new threat. They had been programmed to kill. Humans and their primitive artificial intelligence identified Seok Jin as human. They attacked with coordinated precision. Seok Jin raised his hand and the creatures simply stopped existing. Not killed, not destroyed. They were there one moment and gone the next, as if they had never been created at all. The alien crowd sat in stunned silence. This wasn't possible according to any known science. Humans weren't supposed to be able to do things like this. "Ladies, gentlemen, and various other forms of life," Seok Jin said, his voice somehow reaching every being in the arena despite speaking at normal volume. "I am Commander Seok Jin Yu of the Earth Defense Force. I'm here to collect our people and deliver a message." Vortex security forces poured into the arena, wielding energy weapons and combat armor. They fired everything they had at the single human standing in the center of their arena. The weapons passed harmlessly through Seok Jin, as if he existed in a different layer of reality. He walked calmly through the energy blasts and reached the first guard. When he touched the Vorthak warrior, the 8-foot-tall insectoid collapsed unconscious. Seok Jin moved through the security forces like they were standing still, leaving a trail of unconscious aliens behind him. "As I was saying," he continued, "I'm here to deliver a message. For 300 years, humanity has tried to coexist peacefully with galactic civilization. We accepted lower status because we hoped that patience would lead to mutual respect. The arena's broadcast systems were still running, transmitting live to trillions of viewers across the galaxy. Every major species was watching as a single human demonstrated capabilities that violated their understanding of physics. Instead, you decided that human suffering was entertaining. You turned our deaths into a spectacle. You harvested our people like they were crops grown for your amusement." Seok Jin's voice remained calm, but the temperature in the arena began to drop as reality itself responded to his emotions. On Earth, Admiral So-Young Kang was coordinating the largest military operation in human history. The real Earth fleet was emerging from hidden bases throughout the solar system, revealing ships that had been concealed for centuries. "Admiral, all Shepard vessels report ready for hyperspace transition," reported Captain Jae Sung Ryu from the flagship Shepard. "What about the conventional fleet?" 47 heavy cruisers, 118 destroyers, and 300 fighter squadrons, all equipped with entity-enhanced technology that the galaxy has never seen before. Admiral Kang looked at the tactical display showing her true fleet for the first time. Each ship glowed with energy signatures that shouldn't exist according to galactic physics. The fighters could phase between dimensions during combat. The cruisers could fire weapons that affected targets in multiple universes simultaneously. The Shepard ships could appear anywhere in the galaxy without using normal hyperspace routes. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from Vorthak, outposts throughout their territory," reported Communications Officer Min Seo Kim. "They're saying that their home fleet has been destroyed." "Destroyed? We haven't engaged their home fleet yet." "Ma'am, the Shepards report that they've been conducting what they call educational demonstrations throughout Vorthak space. Apparently, the entities wanted to make sure the message was clearly received." On the Vorthak homeworld, Fleet Admiral Thekvor stared at the remains of his once mighty armada. Ships that had been considered invincible were now twisted into impossible shapes, their hulls folded through dimensions that shouldn't exist. Crew members were alive but trapped in spatial loops that made rescue impossible. A single human ship had done this. It had appeared in the middle of their most heavily defended system, ignored every weapon they fired at it, and systematically disabled their entire fleet without destroying a single vessel. The message was clear. Humanity could have obliterated them, but chose mercy instead. Send an immediate communication to the Federation Council, Admiral Thekfor ordered. Tell them that humans are not what we thought they were. Tell them we formally surrender and request immediate ceasefire negotiations. Back in the arena, Commander Seok Jin Yu was finishing his rescue operation. Every human prisoner on Cathara, Prime was being transported aboard his shepherd ship through dimensional rifts that appeared as needed. The alien spectators watched in growing terror as their victims simply walked through tears in space and disappeared. "This is what you wanted to see, isn't it?" Seok Jin asked the crowd. "You wanted to watch humans face impossible odds. You wanted to see what we do when our backs are against the wall." The arena's screens flickered and changed, now showing feeds from across the galaxy. Vorthak fleets in surrender formation. Nexari research stations abandoned as their scientists fled in panic. Alien governments calling emergency sessions to discuss the human situation. Well, congratulations, you got your wish. But you made one critical error in your research. Seok Jin looked directly into the main broadcast camera, speaking to the trillions of aliens watching across the galaxy. You assumed that what you were seeing was everything we're capable of. You thought that our ships, our weapons, our technology represented the full extent of human achievement. He paused, letting that sink in. You were wrong. What you've been seeing for 3 centuries is humanity with most of our capabilities carefully hidden. We've been pretending to be weak because we hoped you could learn to see us as equals rather than threats. The broadcast showed more feeds from around the galaxy. Human cargo ships that had been considered helpless were now revealed to have defensive systems that made Vorthak raiders look like children's toys. Human colonies that appeared primitive were surrounded by defensive networks that could destroy attacking fleets before they got within weapons range. The entity partners who chose to work with us 300 years ago are older than your oldest civilizations. They exist in spaces between dimensions, and they've been very patient with our attempts at peaceful coexistence. Seok Jin's voice grew colder. But patience has limits. You've been torturing our people for entertainment. You've been studying how we die so you can plan better ways to kill us. That ends now. On Earth, President Ye-Jin Choi was addressing the Galactic Federation Council through emergency communication channels. Ambassador Ji-Hai Shin stood beside her, ready to deliver humanity's formal response to 3 centuries of second-class treatment. Honored members of the Federation, President Choi began, Earth has recently learned about certain unauthorized activities involving human citizens. We've discovered that our people have been captured and forced to participate in gladiatorial entertainment without our knowledge or consent. The Federation representatives shifted nervously. They had all heard the reports coming from Vorthak space. Something had destroyed their most powerful fleet without firing a single conventional weapon. 6 months after the Cathara Prime incident, Chancellor Beatna Jiang stood before the reformed Galactic Council in what had once been the Federation's most important meeting chamber. The room looked the same, but everything else had changed. Where, once human representatives had sat in the back rows reserved for minor species, now humanity occupied the central position at the council table. The change wasn't just symbolic. Behind Chancellor Jiang stood Admiral So Young Kang and General Hyun-Soo Park, representing military forces that had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of power itself. The other species no longer looked at humans with amusement or condescension. Now there was fear, respect, and careful calculation in their eyes. The Galactic Ethics Enforcement Division has completed its investigation into the Harvest Games, Chancellor Jiang announced. We have identified 47 species that participated in or profited from the systematic murder of human citizens for entertainment purposes. Representative Clickstar of the Hegemony shifted nervously in his biosuit. Chancellor, surely some form of reparation payment could resolve this matter without further conflict. Representative Clickstar, your species bet over 2 billion credits on human deaths last year alone. You sponsored premium suffering packages that prolonged human agony for extended entertainment value. Chancellor Jiang's voice remained perfectly calm. What payment could possibly balance 50,000 murdered civilians? The answer came from Admiral Bo-Ram Lee, who had been promoted after her rescue from Cathera Prime. She now commanded the first integrated human void entity fleet, ships that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions that defied galactic science. No payment is required, Admiral Lee said. Instead, those species will provide full access to their military and research databases. They will submit to human oversight of their entertainment industries, and they will participate in the new galactic protection protocols under human supervision. You're demanding our surrender, protested Chancellor Vexitar of the Nexari Consortium. We're offering partnership, corrected General Park. The same kind of partnership we've had with our allies for 3 centuries. You can accept human leadership in maintaining galactic ethics, or you can face the consequences of continued resistance. To demonstrate those consequences, the Council Chamber's viewing screens activated. They showed recent footage from former Vorthak military bases. Massive installations that had once threatened entire star systems were now empty. Their weapons systems converted into memorial gardens, tended by human volunteers. The transformation hadn't required violence. Commander Sok Jin Yu and his enhanced forces had simply appeared at each base, demonstrated their ability to ignore conventional defenses, and politely requested that the installations be converted to peaceful purposes. The Vorthak had agreed immediately. Dr. Kyung-Mi Han now served as director of the Xenobiological Ethics Review Board, ensuring that no species would ever again create creatures designed specifically to cause suffering. Her work had revealed the full scope of the arena systems, not just the public games but private torture facilities where wealthy aliens paid premium prices to personally torment human prisoners. The research data from these facilities has been invaluable, Dr. Han reported to the Council. We now understand exactly which species have been studying human psychology and combat capabilities. We know who was planning to use this information for military purposes. She activated a display showing intelligence networks that had been gathering data about human behavior. The scope was staggering. Dozens of species had been secretly studying humanity, building profiles of human weaknesses and strengths. The entity partners have helped us trace these networks, Dr. Han continued. We've identified several species that were planning coordinated attacks on human colonies once they felt they had gathered sufficient intelligence. Representative Morkan of the Sardak Empire raised a trembling appendage. Dr. Han, surely you understand that this was just theoretical research. No actual attack plans were implemented. Representative Morkan, your species commissioned detailed studies of human pain thresholds and psychological breaking points. You funded research into biological weapons specifically designed to target human physiology. What possible peaceful purpose could this research serve? The Sardak representative had no answer. Like many other species, they had assumed that humans would never discover their intelligence-gathering efforts. The revelation that humanity had cosmic-level allies had made all their careful plans useless. Across the galaxy, the transformation was accelerating. Memorial Keeper Yoon Seo Park oversaw the conversion of every former arena into a memorial site. Each location now displayed the names and stories of humans who had died for alien entertainment. The memorials were tended by volunteers from species that wanted to demonstrate their commitment to the new galactic order. The memorial on Kithra Prime had become the most visited site in galactic space. Beings from hundreds of species came to pay respects to the human victims and to see the place where everything had changed. Many visitors left gifts or messages of apology, though nothing could bring back the dead. Jin Woo-song had survived his time in the arena and now served as Director of Liberation Operations. His job was to hunt down the remaining hidden facilities where humans were being held for entertainment or research. The work was emotionally difficult, but necessary. We found another facility in the Outer Rim, he reported to Admiral Kang during their weekly briefing. This one specialized in endurance testing, seeing how long humans could survive in various hostile environments while alien researchers took notes. How many people? About 200, according to our intelligence. Most have been there for over a year. Send Lieutenant O and his team. Make sure the facility staff understands that their cooperation will determine whether they survive the liberation process. Lieutenant Sang-wook. O had become something more than human during his bonding with void entity fragments. He could phase through solid matter, manipulate gravitational fields, and perceive events across multiple timelines simultaneously. But the most unsettling change was his ability to make other beings understand exactly how much pain they had caused. When his team arrived at the research facility, the alien scientists surrendered immediately. They had heard what happened to those who resisted human liberation operations. O's method was simple. He would touch the facility commanders and share with them the exact experience of every human who had suffered in their research programs. Most aliens broke down completely after experiencing just a few minutes of human suffering from the victim's perspective. The few who didn't were transferred to memorial facilities where they spent their remaining lives maintaining the sites dedicated to their victims. The galaxy was learning that humanity's justice was thorough and precise. No one who had profited from human suffering was forgotten or forgiven, but the punishment always fit the crime exactly. President Ye Jin-choi found herself in the strange position of leading not just Earth, but an informal alliance of species that had been victimized by the galaxy's former power structure. The Zilani, who had secretly helped smuggle information about the Harvest Games, were now humanity's closest allies. Other, lesser species had joined them, grateful for protection against their former oppressors. "Ma'am, we're receiving formal alliance requests from 37 different species," reported Foreign Minister Yoon Seo Park. "They want human protection against retaliation from the species we've displaced. What kind of protection can we offer?" The Shepherd fleets can patrol their space. The enhanced humans can serve as advisors and defenders. Our entity partners can provide the same dimensional protection that Earth has enjoyed for 3 centuries. President Choi considered the implications. Humanity had gone from the galaxy's victims to its protectors in less than a year. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the opportunity to create something better than the Federation's hierarchy-based system. Accept all alliance requests, but make it clear that membership in the Human Protection Alliance comes with responsibilities. No member species will be permitted to engage in the exploitation of sentient beings for entertainment or research. The new galactic order was taking shape. Humans patrolled space routes that had once been dominated by raiders and slavers. Enhanced human teams investigated reports of abuse and exploitation, backed by void shepherd ships that could appear anywhere in the galaxy within hours. The former arena worlds had been converted into research stations dedicated to understanding, consciousness, and preventing suffering. Dr. Yoon-ji Kim led teams of human and alien scientists who worked together to ensure that sentient rights were protected throughout the galaxy. But the biggest change was in how the galaxy viewed humanity itself. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive cargo haulers were now recognized as partners of cosmic entities that existed beyond normal space and time. Every major government maintained detailed files on human capabilities, trying to understand the full scope of what they were dealing with. The irony, noted Ambassador Ji Hai-shin during a diplomatic briefing, is that they're still underestimating us. They think what they've seen so far represents our full capabilities.